Good morning to the mop here on Hump Day, Wednesday. That is right. The fog is thick in southwest Wisconsin. But it was a drive-in. It was slow drive-in. But people without their lights on. Another irritating factor in my life. Especially on Highway 60. A lot of curves. If you're not familiar with southwest Wisconsin, Highway 60 follows the Wisconsin River. And it follows it to every corner that it makes. Highway 60 is from Muscadet to Lone Rock is very tight, and they are working on straightening it out. But this morning, this thick fog, and people that think their automatic lights work, well, they don't a lot of times because they don't turn on the tail lights, which are important when you're traveling in fog. So please just reach over. I know it's hard. It's hard work sometimes, reaching over and turning the knob to headlight and override your autos. I know the autos are nice. I know all that. But just turn them on. It would be great. Well, welcome to the mop. What does rebates and discounts show? Well, it shows that things have slowed in the economy, especially in the power sports world. I see it in the car world as well. I see rebates are coming on cars. However, I believe cars have a little more markup. Maybe. That's still not great. It's still not like everybody thinks that there's 50% to work with. There's definitely not. I know for a fact in the power sports world that the profit margin for a dealer is not near what anybody in their right mind thinks it is. So when you go to a dealer and you think they've got thousands and thousands and thousands to work with, they don't. Dealers are hoping to make 5 to 8% total. And I know people are going to say, Chris, you don't blah, 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 blah. Trust me, that is where they're at. So when I start seeing that manufacturers are paying for 0%, I hear it in tractor world now too, 0%. Because getting those percentage points down from lenders costs money to do that. So when you start hearing 0% or huge rebates or rebates plus extravagant warranties, whatever it may be, usually you know there is excess inventory. And especially now, most manufacturers on the power sports world are coming out with their 27s. So there is 25s, 26. I've seen some 24 stuff in certain manufacturer pipelines. So you're seeing huge rebates. The boat world is the same way right now. I'm seeing huge rebates in that world. I still live in that world to a certain extent because I have to understand why orders slow down and speed up or slow down. And then you don't hear from people for a while. But yeah, and needless to say, right now, you are seeing huge rebates. You're seeing guys advertising low percentages. However, if you take the low percentage financing, most likely you're not getting the rebates. And I would be 99% confident in that if you go, well, I want the 0%, well, that changes the price of the unit. Heard an interesting thing the other day, and yes, I still train. I still do the training on the sales sides because I like to sharpen what I can, and I still learn. Heard an interesting thing that if you have somebody walk in, and we deal with it quite a bit of times too, is, well, what about discounts? Yeah, if you just say, nope, there's no discounts, people will all of a sudden become very quiet, and they're like, oh. However, if you say, yep, we can do a discount, then you have a fictional price. People are thinking, oh, that's what it is. So I heard an interesting one yesterday. So if somebody says, hey, can I get a discount on that? Such as labor, such as price of the boat, so whatever it may be, ATV, UTV. Somebody says, hey, I'd like a discount. Whether you sell carpet, I don't care. Whatever it is, say, you know what? I can work on price, but what part of the work don't you want done? Never had it put that way before. It's an interesting way to look at it. So if you want to negotiate price, the one that usually people negotiate the most, especially in the power sports world, is freight and prep. Well, that's just a made-up number. No, it's actually, the freight has gone up immensely. We used to be able to kind of ignore it in the power sports world, but it's a true fact. The freight has gone up and it's gotten expensive. A lot. But also, here's the kicker though. If you're charging freight and prep as a dealer, you better make damn sure all your units are set appropriately and checked from tip to tail, side to side, up and down, all over. If you are going to charge $1,800, $1,900 for freight and prep, you better make damn sure every unit is set. Now here's the next point of that, is if you are a dealer, and this is just me speaking, and this might be why I'm not in the business any longer at the moment. This might be why I am not. But if you're charging these prices, and then a customer has issues, somebody better be on the horn with that customer. You better be taking care of that customer, or you're going to lose a customer, because somebody will. See, the one thing about the power sports world that you'll find is the loyalty is not there. You don't have, because anybody can go and get a price or a discounted price or whatever it may, most people can finagle their way. But if you're buying against these dealers that are charging you some of the fees, then you better go above and beyond. Because here's the issue I have. You can buy from me, and we're in your local area, or you can buy from one of these places that discounts the shit out of everything. However, when recalls come out, where are you going to go? I've seen it all day, every day on all these stupid groups that I belong to, but I have to belong to them because they ask about turn signal kits and everything else. But I'm seeing more and more, well, my dealer's 3 hours away. So somebody drove 6 hours round trip to buy a unit. Now there's a recall out. And recalls come out more times than you probably change your underwear these days, it seems. So people always ask, well, what's the better brand? What's the more dependable brand? Nobody likes the true answer. See, I think I own one of the most dependable side-by-sides that there is in a Kawasaki Teryx. It's a mountain goat. It works it starts every time. It runs. Yep, it's noisy and hot. That's no doubt. But I have seen far too many of these other side-by-sides and everything else, whether it's Polaris, CF Moto, Can-Am, whatever, and I sell turn signal kits for all of them. But to say which one's better right now, they're all about the same. They all have recalls. They all have issues. Oh, by the way, they're all loud and they're all hot. Yeah, you got to have air conditioning in some of them to make it bearable. And it does, or fans, which I'm putting a fan in my Teryx. So they're all about the same. It's kind of like who's better, Chevy, Ford, Dodge. That came down to probably a family decision. You're either family as a Chevy family, Dodge family, Ford family. I don't know about the other ones, Tesla, whatever else. I think they all have, but they all have their quirks and their problems. The more shit they add, the more problems you're going to have. And you're going to have to put up with it. People are like, well, I spent $40,000 on a side-by-side and it should be airtight and quiet. And no, it's an off-road vehicle. So it's not going to happen. But right now, what it's telling you is there's a shit ton of rebates out there. They're working on interest rates. They're doing all of this stuff because the market is getting flooded. And dealers are packed with inventory. But there are some charges that you have to go It makes sense. I mean, they can't get the units to them for free. And now with diesel and everything else going up in prices, that stuff's only going to continue to go up. Just like it did in 2020, anywhere else. I'm here advocating for the dealers. And your customers may not like it, but I am not in the market of helping dealers as far as I working at one. What I will tell you is freight and prep are not a made up number. They are charged freight. They have to pay mechanics to set these up. They don't come off the truck road ready, trail ready. A lot of these come in crates. They got frickin' hours of setup and whatever it may be. And then you got to dispose of all this shit they pack them in. So freight and prep's not a made up charge. However, it is a charge that becomes quickly useless if the machine is not set up right and gone through tip to tail, side to side, up and down, whatever it may be. If it's got washer fluid, if it has a windshield washer and wiper, fill the damn thing. If you know, here's the other two things that pissed me off big time is I've had dealers tell me, well, we know the batteries in these things are junk, and we know the starter solenoids, especially in the Highlands, are junk. So why send them out the door with those issues? Upgrade them. Upgrade the cut. Hey, you know what? I know it's not, we're just trying to protect you. So instead of taking it all off, and especially when somebody, like I said, when somebody says, well, what about discounts? Say, you know what? I can work with you on price, but what part of the work do you not want done? Is, you know what? I'd love to work with you on price. We're saving you because we know, and then you're going to go, well, Chris, that just means these units are junk. Well, then bitch to CF Moto, bitch to Polaris, bitch to whoever is putting this shit in them and get it fixed before the customer takes them home. I have seen 2 units now with less than 13 miles to 15 miles on them where starter solenoids are junk. Batteries are junk. Then either you need to start putting a actual charger in these units for customers, or when the customer calls and says this piece of junk won't start, you go pick it up. You don't tell the customer, hey, guess what? Get it to me, we'll fix it. That doesn't work. These customers don't deserve to spend $25,000, $30,000, $35,000, $40,000. I'm seeing side-by-sides now priced in the 70s. Back in when Polaris first came out with their first Ranger 800, I sold one for $30,000. And everybody said, holy shit, that's crazy. Who the hell would buy something like that? Now, you're like, 72,000. Who's going to buy that? And it is sold. So where do we go? It comes down to customer satisfaction. Because I guarantee you, you know who the customer is that's unsatisfied, because you're going to hear about it. What you don't ever hear about is the customers that are extremely happy because they don't go back and do the reviews. They don't do any of that. So you need to make sure you are on top of your game. But I thought that was interesting. I thought I'd pass that on today with a little sales stuff in my own. It's kind of like if I came into a restaurant and just said, hey, where's my discount? Everybody's trained, but when you're shopping for cars and side-by-sides and lawnmowers and anything else, everybody's like, well, where's the discount? Do you do that to any other places? And you guys, I think it's because people just think there's unlimited margin or huge margins in these things because of the amount of money they are. There's money to be made, but it's not the kind that people are thinking. It's not a 20%, 30%. Crazy. I wish it was. It would have been a great time because we'd have made a shit ton. Dealers are not making that. Service, parts, it all has to work as one big conglomerate to make the money that they're making. So, if you're going to charge all the fees, make damn sure that everything is spot on. And also train your employees, train your staff, and then I saw another clip yesterday about communication starts with the owners. If the owners do not communicate, do not expect your workers or your management team to be much better. Communication starts, not work-driven, not everybody's happy to be here, kumbaya, sitting around dancing, whatever. Communication starts with owners, and that does not start with yelling, screaming, ranting, raving, pissed off, storming around, throwing things, anything like that. It sits down talking about true to God issues. If you follow Hexaco Motorsports on Facebook, they're up by Appleton. If you follow them, I will tell you that they do one very good thing. They show that they're having their meeting, and it is a full team meeting. And it's pretty cool to see. You don't see a lot of dealers having that. And if you do have dealers having team meetings, they don't want to talk about the negative shit usually. They just want to talk about the positive stuff and move on. And you can't do that either, because there is a black cloud in a lot of restaurants. You can just walk into some places and you feel it, that the employees don't quite get along. The employees not liking what they're having to work under. You're starting to see it more and more. And you're also starting to see people expecting to make more, but somewhat when owners have issues, then there's people with hurt feelings. And oh God, we can't hurt feelings. I've worked for too many people from the time I was 15 to now, and I've got a great job here with my boss and everything else here now. There's nothing there but communication, no matter what, sucked. It was either a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, or the opposite. You just let shit flow, and you kind of go, and just go whatever. And that's worse to me, not holding people accountable. But you can do it both ways. You can do it in a harder way to do and hold people accountable and make things change, or you just let them screw the cat, whatever. And you can't do it. And especially if you keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you have to handle the issues. You have to make sure that things are being done and they're consistently done. You can't come out with a 10-page book about how everything's going to change, and then 2 weeks later, you might as well throw that book in the garbage. But if you're going to have a shit ton of managers, sometimes it becomes, there's two ways, either a lot of cooks or a lot of chiefs. And, there's some statements. My mom used to say that. A lot of chiefs and not enough Indians, I think. And I don't mean that in a racist way. The Native Americans have it pretty right. They have a chief, and that's who sets the rules. Amish kind of have that. But my mom used to tell me that all the time. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Too many cooks ruin the soup. That was the other one. So, you have a fine balance, and if you're not training yourself as an owner or a manager, shame on you. If you're not passing that knowledge on to you, shame on you twice. As salespeople, if you're not sharpening your tools in your drawer, it's kind of like mechanics. They're always buying new tools. They're doing the upgrades. Very important that as whatever field you're in, don't rely on others to train you. That's where I find a lot of my training videos, is why I'm trying to train myself to become a better person. Like I've told you before, after you turn 50, life hits different. So, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. If you're in the side-by-side world, there's quite a couple that sponsor my event. Prairie Motorsports does. Richie's and Cobb has some stuff for me. So those kind of guys, Jay's Power Center in Reedsburg sponsors my event. So there are plenty of people that will be there for you. So if you're looking for the power sports side, if you're looking for turn signal kits, plug and play, easy install, there's only one, Kinetic Creations. That's where I work. And I'm not going to bash any of the others, but we are a true plug and play. So I'll help you out. Give me a call. We do installs. We sell direct. So leave me a message. Do whatever you wish there. And we'll go from there. Have a great day. As always, thanks for tuning into The Mop. You can catch my other videos on YouTube. And take time to bless somebody today.